Welcome to this tutorial on creating a simple rhythm game in Java. In this video, we will go through all the steps required to build a fun and interactive game where players need to hit corresponding keys at the right time. Let's get started. To begin with, we need to set up our development environment. We will use the IntelliJ IDE for this project. Make sure you have Java installed on your machine. If you haven't done this already, pause the video and ensure you have the right setup. Okay, let's create a new Java project in IntelliJ. Click on File, then New, and select Project. Choose Java from the options and click Next. In the next dialog box, specify the project name. We'll call it Rhythm Game. Choose a location to save your project, and then click Finish. Now, our project is created. Let's set up the basic structure. We will need a few classes for our game: Game Window, and Game Panel. Let's start with the Game class, which will initialize the game. Here, we have a main function that initializes our game window. Let's create the Game Window class next. This class will handle the main window of the game. In this code, we create a JFrame that serves as our game window. We set its default close operation and specify its size. Next, let's move on to our Game Panel class, which will handle the drawing of the game elements. Now we have set up the Game Panel class extending JPanel. The Paint Component method is overridden to enable us to draw game elements. Next, we need to add the Game Panel to our game window. Great! With the Game Panel added to our game window, let's now implement the main logic for our rhythm game. We will design a way to present notes to the player who needs to hit keys in timing with the music. First, let's create a note class which represents the notes that players will hit. Each note will have properties like its position, width, and color. We have created our note class with properties for the X position, width, and color. Now, let's implement a way to generate notes randomly. The Note Generator class includes a method to generate a list of notes randomly. We use the math.random function to set the X position of each note. Now, let's modify our game panel to draw the generated notes. We will create a list of notes in Game Panel and draw them in Paint Component. Once the notes are generated, we draw them on the panel in Paint Component. Each note is represented by a colored rectangle at its X position. Next, we want to implement timing for when the notes should appear on the screen. We'll add a timer that will gradually change the Y position of the notes to simulate falling. We have added a timer to our Game Panel that regularly calls an update method. This method updates the Y position of each note and repaints the panel. Now, let's have the notes react when a key is pressed. We will need to implement key listeners and associate them with our notes. Here, we are adding a key listener which captures key presses. When a key is pressed, it calls the handle key press method where we will check if the key corresponds to any falling note. Let's implement the hit detection in the handle key press method. Each note will be associated with a specific key, like AE for the first note, S for the second, and so on. With this implementation, if the player presses A and it corresponds to a note that is expected to be hit, that note will be removed. This simulates hitting a note in the rhythm game. Next, let's implement scoring. We'll need to maintain a score variable and increase it whenever a note is successfully hit. Just like that, we have our scoring mechanism in place. Each time a note is hit, the score increases and is printed to the console. Now, let's add the ability to display the score on the game panel. We can do this by overriding the Paint Component again to draw the score. With this code, the score is displayed in the top left corner of the game window. As players hit the notes successfully, they'll see their score go up. To make our game visually appealing, let's customize the appearance of notes based on their lateness and type. We will add different colors for notes and add animations. Next, let's implement a background music feature. We can use a library like JavaSound for playing music. We'll play music in a separate thread. This way, our background track will play while the notes fall. Remember to add some checks to avoid overlapping sounds in the game. Let's recap what we've built so far. We have a window, falling notes, score tracking, and music playback. The next step is to implement game over conditions. This can happen when a note reaches the bottom of the window and is not hit. Now, let's create a simple game over method which displays an ending message. When the game is over, we print a game over message and the final score to the console. This can be enhanced with a pop-up dialogue in a real game. Now that we have all the basic functionalities set up, let's compile everything together and run our rhythm game. Keep in mind that the game can be further improved with features like difficulty levels, more note types, and polish. To finish off, remember that game development is all about iteration and improvement. Don't hesitate to tweak and personalize the mechanics we've implemented today. Thank you for joining this tutorial on creating a simple rhythm game in Java. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it. Happy coding!